Welcome into our 2026 schedule release show presented by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Bills and the NFL. He's voice of the Bills, Chris Brown. I'm Maddy Glab. The inaugural season at Highmark Stadium is just months away, and now that we have the Bills schedule, we can go through everything. And my, oh my, it is an exciting one. Chris, as you looked at this, what does this say about Buffalo?
Well, it says that they still consider them very much a Super Bowl contender. 6 primetime games, 2 holiday games. I mean, I know they filmed a holiday touchdown last year with Hallmark, but this schedule is a holiday touchdown playing on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Holy cow.
I like it. A holiday touchdown. I thought the holiday Bills are here, and they're here for everyone to see. We're excited to tell you about primetime games, the AFC East slate, bye week, and everything. But first, we have to talk about the home opener. The Bills are starting the season on the road against the Texans. It's going to be a 1 p.m. game. No rest for the Bills. Just jump right into it. A really tough opponent, an opponent that Buffalo faced last season. It was a loss. The NFL's best defense of last year, and here you go on a platter for week 1 for Buffalo.
Yeah, Houston Arena, NRG Stadium has not been a friendly place for the Bills. They haven't won down there since 2006, and they've been down there a handful of times. Last year did not go well for them, as we know, so hopefully maybe you get them right off the rip in week 1, and maybe everything is not falling into place for them defensively because their defense is really good. It's going to be an interesting first test right out of the chute.
A heavyweight fight for Buffalo to start their 2026 season. Just what the doctor ordered, right? Well, week 2, the Bills have their home opener at Highmark Stadium set for Thursday night against the Lions. It's going to be a standalone game for Buffalo. The entire world gets to watch the Bills in their new stadium. It makes a lot of sense for the Bills to be on in a primetime window like this one. Why do you feel like Thursday night and the Lions made sense for that game, Chris?
Well, I mean, the Lions are a quality opponent. When the two teams played each other the last time in Detroit, it was 48-42.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game you want to put in a primetime window. And I think the league wants to do right by new Highmark Stadium and showcase the new crown jewel of the league as far as stadiums go. This is the 4th time in the last 5 instances that a new stadium has been given a home opener in week 2. The only exception to that since 2014 was when SoFi opened in week 1 in a primetime slot. This is the first time, though, that it's been opened on a Thursday night. So be interesting to talk to Mike North about his thoughts on that.
Yeah, Mike North will be joining us later, the Vice President of Broadcast Planning, who spent the last few months putting this entire schedule together. Thursday Night Football for Buffalo with Amazon Prime is a nod to how much the NFL respects Amazon Prime and just the product that they put on TV. Some great personalities, and I'm really excited to see how they showcase the new Highmark Stadium. The 2026 schedule for Buffalo, let's just call them the primetime Bills again, because that's exactly what they are. 6 primetime games, and if you're looking at big windows, the Bills also have 3 4-o'clock games throughout the season. And how it's slated, I mean, week 2, week 5, week 9, week 12, week 14, and 15, all in the primetime window. What type of respect does the NFL have for the Bills?
Well, an enormous amount of respect, but I think they also recognize that the Bills are an entertaining product that fans like to watch. I mean, the Bills draw major eyeballs when they are in primetime, not only from their own fan base, Bills Mafia, but I think from around the country. Josh Allen's one of the most entertaining players in the league. I think James Cook is moving into that category as well. So the Bills are an attractive draw for the networks, and they ask for the Bills. And this schedule, I think, is proof of that. 6 primetime games ties a franchise high, which was last done in 2023 when they had 6 primetime games as well.
The Bills were a top 5 offense in 2025, averaging more than 28 points per game. James Cook, the NFL's leading rusher last season, yet receiver DJ Moore to the mix, and the NFL expects the Bills to score a lot of points. As you look at these primetime matchups and where they're slated, do any pop off the page for you?
Week 5 at the Rams does. I mean, that was a team that made it to the NFC title game last year and lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, who are also in their division. That is on a Monday night on the road. So long trip and a short week coming off of that.
That's true.
And, I think that's going to be a challenging game for them. we'll get to the others, but that one kind of stuck out to me right away.
Yeah, you've got 2 Monday night games too, something that you don't always see on a schedule. Sometimes you just get 1 Monday nighter, and the Bills get 2 of those. They have 1 Sunday night game, a Saturday night game that we'll get in later as well. Any of these primetime games look like must-wins for you right now? I mean,
well, when you have 6, you better win most of them, right? But you're playing top-flight competition most likely in those kinds of windows. And, I mean, you look at all of them. I mean, the Rams, playoff team last year. You go down the list, Minnesota didn't get to the postseason. Kansas City didn't get to the postseason, but you're expecting those to be competitive games. And then Green Bay and Chicago, obviously, both playoff teams from last year. As a matter of fact, in that primetime group of 6, all 4 NFC North teams are in those windows. So every one of the NFC North teams expected to be good, competitive clubs this year. They're all in primetime games for the Bills.
There is a stretch near the end of the season that Buffalo is going to be huge windows. Weeks 12 through 16, the Bills have 3 games at 8:20 and additional 2 at 4 o'clock. Those games are going to be Thanksgiving against the Chiefs at 8:20 on NBC. Week 14, you have at the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Week 15, you have against the Bears. That's a Saturday night game because both of those teams are playing on Christmas Day. And you also have Week 13 at the Patriots. We know the Patriots are a really good team, and those could be some tough opponents for the Bills to face in that stretch at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I know you said week 12 to 16. If you go week 13 to 17, that's 4 road games in 5 weeks. So you're playing top-flight competition for the most part, and you're on the road for most of those games as well. That's going to be a daunting task down the stretch.
The Bills know if they're going to win games, they're going to play a really great schedule against some great opponents, and there's certainly a bunch on the schedule for the Bills in 2026. Looking at these holiday games, because those are huge window games for Buffalo. The Bills don't just draw a Thanksgiving game or a Christmas game. The NFL said, you know what? You're going to have the big 2 this season. You're going to play on Thanksgiving, and we're also going to have you on Christmas Day. Home game for one of those, that's going to be Thanksgiving against the Chiefs at 8:20, and then they'll be on the road for Christmas to face the Broncos, a rematch of the divisional round game. We know that one went into overtime. We know the history between the Bills and the Chiefs. Those games always go down to the wire. We expect Patrick Mahomes to be healthy by week 12.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Your impression of the NFL saying it's time for you to have 2 holiday games?
Yeah, I think we had speculated about this a little bit, Maddie, and kind of anticipated that the Bills would have some measure of presence on the holiday weeks and on the holidays specifically, especially knowing they're not part of the league's international slate. So here it is. They get the double whammy. I will say it's kind of a cool thing because the Bills have never hosted a Thanksgiving game in their history. So to do that in new Highmark Stadium in year 1, I think is kind of a cool deal with a major, player in the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes and Allen. We know the history there. And then as far as a game goes, Bills have never played on Christmas Day either. Yeah. So that's another first. That's just kind of a cool feature of this year's schedule for Buffalo. And holy rematch, like divisional playoffs, same venue in Denver. So I think those 2 games are very appealing, not only to the league and the networks, but also for the Bills fans.
And you talk about must-win games. Yes, the Bills haven't started their season yet, but we believe these 2 games will have a big impact on what happens in terms of the playoffs and what the seeding is going to be. Broncos, Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs missed the playoffs last season, but we expect them to come clawing back. 26.
Yeah, and don't forget either that, the Denver Broncos added Jalen Waddle to their receiving core, a player that is all too familiar to the Bills, having been in their division for his entire career, but he's going to be a problem opposite Courtland Sutton. So new things to be concerned about, but yes, to your point, those are 2 AFC conference teams. Conference record is the first tiebreaker, for teams outside of your division that you're competing with for playoff position.
We know how important it is to win games within your division. Buffalo's streak of 5 straight AFC East titles was broken last season when the Patriots won the division. We always hear the team say the best path to the Super Bowl is playing home playoff games. And one way to do that is by winning your division. If you look at Buffalo's division games, they go week 4, week 10, week 11, week 13, week 17, week 18. What I took from looking at the division games is 5 out of the final 9 games are going to be against the AFC East. What strikes you about how these games were slated?
Yeah, I mean, we're used to seeing them at the front and the very end of the schedule. Obviously, the league wants teams competing in week 17 and 18. So even if they have maybe a playoff position lined up, if they're jockeying with a team in the division, they've got to play hard in week 17 and week 18. That's why they kind of scheduled it that way. I think Bills fans are happy that they're not playing in Miami early in the season, so you don't have to worry about a heat game like the one we saw a few years ago. So the fact that, you know, you're going down to Miami January 3rd, that's a good thing. And look, we know Miami is a team that's in rebuild mode, so too are the Jets, but at the end of their campaigns, I think we expect them to be improved teams by then, you know, under Aaron Glenn and Jeff Hafley in Miami. So I think those games might be a little tougher them early before they have all their ducks in a row with new systems, new quarterbacks and
too.
Things like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The Jets had 3 first-round picks this year. Do those 3 first-round picks have a big impact in 2026? As you look at the schedule as a whole, we can pick apart different things in certain parts within the schedule. One thing that struck me right away was the 2 tough stretches that Buffalo has to play. Weeks 1 through 5, no joke for the Bills. You better be ready to start the season, and you better be ready to be firing on all cylinders, because you're going to see the Houston Texans and then Detroit and then the Chargers and the Patriots and the Rams, teams who made the playoffs. And I know the Lions aren't a playoff team, but the Lions have been a playoff team in the recent past. It's going to be crazy to see that first tough stretch. When you see those first 5 weeks, what did you think?
Better be ready right away, because 4 of the first 5 games are against playoff teams from last year, including 2 teams that beat you in those venues. You lost at Houston last year, you lost at home against the Patriots last year, and that game in week 4 essentially cost you any chance of getting the 1 seed. It set you behind the Patriots. You not only lost the 1 seed in week 4, you could argue that you lost the division in week 4. So these games at the front of the schedule, super important, because 3 of the 5 AFC conference, so you have to be mindful of that. And they're against teams that got the best of you last year.
Jumping into the crazy right away, the NFL believes the Bills are going to be ready with a new head coach and Joe Brady to just jump right into it and play some of the best teams. Another tough stretch, weeks 12 through 16. You think about peaking at the right time, weeks 12 through 16. Anytime after week 10, it's time to go. You're pushing to the playoffs. Those teams, Kansas City, the Patriots, again, Green Bay, Chicago, and Denver. You finish off the season with a total gauntlet. What are your expectations for this stretch for Buffalo?
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure. I mean, all quality clubs. Again, you've got that NFC North in there, which I think is a division that's strong from top to bottom, because you have Green Bay and Chicago in that stretch, and you're playing Green Bay and Chicago
Back
6
to
days
back.
apart.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to consider here is we're talking late November, early December, and all northern cities for the most part, and Denver gets their share of snow too. How much is weather a factor with these games also? All these teams are used to playing in it, but how much does it compromise what a game plan might be?
Bye week for Buffalo, an early one this season. Week 7 bye week for the Bills. Same bye week as last season. I know if you're an NFL player or a head coach, you're thinking, give me a late bye when we need it most. But Buffalo has some mini byes in there, which makes sense for the Week 7 bye.
Yeah, it helps a little bit that you have the Thanksgiving game in Week 12. It's not great coming off of Miami and 4 days later having to play Kansas City, but at least those are back-to-back home games.
Right.
You're sleeping in your own bed, and then coming off the Kansas City game, you get the benefit of a mini bye before you have to play another division opponent in New England. So you got to take advantage of that as a player, because a Week 7 bye isn't helping you in a divisional playoff round 10 weeks later. That's why a lot of teams favor the Week 10, Week 11, Week 12 byes, because it's almost, if you're going to make a long playoff run, that's almost smack dab in the middle of all the games that you do end up playing.
You also have that Christmas matchup on a Friday, so you'll get a couple days there as well. And then the other mini bye week 2, which I'm sure week 2 you're like, I feel good. I don't need any days off. Let me play.
Yeah, you still feel all right. Right.
Road stretches. That's one thing that we look at too. Are there any big road stretches where Buffalo is going to be on the road for a good amount of time? One question that you had was, is there going to be a 3-week stretch that the Bills are going to be on the road because they're not playing an international game? Do the schedule makers think it's fine, we can go on the road for 3 straight weeks? We didn't see that, but we do see 2 straight weeks on the road. West Coast games. So week 5 at the Rams, week 6 at the Raiders. The big question here, do the Bills stay on the road?
Yeah, do they stay out west for the entire week? It's an interesting decision because the Monday night game at the Rams, you're not getting home if you travel home until 6 a.m. Tuesday morning, and then you got to play the following Sunday at Las Vegas. Is that enough time to turn your week around, or is it too compressed? But you also have to think about logistics. You got to schedule a practice venue. You've got to stay in hotels for the week. Players aren't sleeping in their own beds. Would it be more beneficial for them to do that back here at home and then just make the second piece of travel? That's a coaching decision largely. We'll have to see what Joe Brady decides there. And then the other stretch, as I mentioned earlier, week 13 to 17, you've got 4 road games in 5 weeks. So you're at New England, at Green Bay, home briefly for Chicago, then at Denver, at Miami. That is a tough stretch season because you have long trips on the back end of that group at Denver, at Miami.
Yeah, it's long road trips. It's the end of the season. The team's not feeling 100% healthy at that point, and they're huge games. These are a lot of factors that the Bills are going to be thinking about as they enter that last part of the season. Home stretches, some great weather games to start the season for Buffalo in the inaugural season at Highmark Stadium. I absolutely love it. I'm so excited. Week 2 against the Detroit at our place. Week 3 and week 4. That's 3 straight home games in the front part of the season. We don't see that often.
Yeah, I mean, last year they did have 3 straight at home, weeks 3 to 5. So the league kind of did the same thing here, front load some home games. We know that the Pagulas like having September home games because the weather is still very favorable. The fans appreciate it. Tailgating's more enjoyable. So the league did Bills Mafia a solid as far as tailgating goes with more home games in September.
And then it's interesting. Look at the rest of the schedule, and you really don't get any chunks of home games after that. You have week 11 and week 12, that's against Miami, and home against Kansas City for Thanksgiving. That's the only other stretch you have where you're home for more than 1 week.
Yeah, that's the only other back-to-back that you have. So they front-loaded the home games. You're going to have to pay the piper on the back end.
To help us make sense of this entire 2026 Bills schedule, we are so excited to be joined by the NFL Vice President of Broadcast Planning, Mike North, who's on with us right now. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. And wow, this Bills schedule, you guys have spent the last few months and really the last week poring over what this entire thing is going to look like.
Yeah, it was a long month this week, but it's a privilege. It's an honor, so humble, so grateful, so appreciative, so proud of the work that the team did. This one really came down to the wire. We did not get the commissioner's final blessing until Tuesday at around noon. So this one was use every second they gave us, and there's always another option out there. It's grains of sand on a beach. I wish they would have given us another month. I'm sure we could have found something different, but really happy with the product. Really proud of the effort and really happy with everybody's reaction. The clubs got it yesterday, Wednesday. The network partners got it today, Thursday, and now the world gets it tonight.
It's going to be amazing to see the world's reaction. I think Bills fans are going to feel pretty grateful for the fact that they're going to be playing in some big-time windows. 2 holiday games for Buffalo, one on Thanksgiving at home at Highmark Stadium. And
no, I think people are happy about it.
How did the Bills land with 2 holiday games?
Well, the one thing we're always cognizant of is not scheduling both of those at home for any one team. So to ask the fans to, leave Aunt Gladys and come out Thanksgiving and then again on Christmas, always cognizant of not asking teams to play two home games in those windows, but as you guys can imagine, those have become really high-profile windows for us. And you'll remember the Bills playing on Thanksgiving. What was it, like 3 out of 4 years, something like that? I remember Detroit, New
Yep.
Orleans. Like that was almost to me like the Bills coming out party. Obviously, the quarterback helps a lot, but
Yeah.
that was sort of the coming out party where the Bills were legitimizing themselves as perennial playoff contenders, and that earns you opportunities to play in these bigger windows. And Thanksgiving has become a juggernaut for us with, 47, 50, 57 million people watching last year. And then Christmas is starting to inch up into those same kind of numbers, 25, 28, 30 million viewers. The fans are telling us that they're there and they vote with their remotes, and we become really a part of the fabric of those holidays. And a team like the Bills, who, what do any of us know? It's May. We're talking about stuff that's not going to happen for 7 more months. But sitting here today, I think we all expect the Bills to be playing games with playoff implications and being postseason relevant. And you look at the opponents that they, drew for those holiday games. Hard to say right now that those don't feel like two of the biggest games of the year. They belong in two of the biggest windows.
Yeah, and speaking of big games, you've got the Bills heavily involved in the primetime slate. 6 primetime games, tying a team high last repeated in 2023 when they had 6. So for the Bills, what does that continue to say about them as a marquee attraction for your league?
They're relevant. They're important. And maybe more than that, they've earned it. You don't draft your way into prime time in this league. You don't trade your way into prime time. You don't get a prime time game just because you play in a big market. You get a prime time game because your record warrants it. Your on-field success demands it. And then, like we said earlier, the fans tell us what's important to them. And when you see the kind of viewership numbers that Buffalo Bills games have been doing, that the Thanksgiving games and Christmas games have been doing, it really is a perfect marriage. And when you think about the opponents, you know, that Kansas City Buffalo game for what, the last 5, 6, 8 years is always one of the games of the year. Fun to see them meet up again in the playoffs. It's been a minute. And then obviously, that Christmas Day game, we're talking about, a couple of guys rolling over each other in overtime. Whoever ends up with the ball, going to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, these are the kind of things that fans remember. And that it's important to us as the scheduling team to make sure that the games that the fans care the most about are in windows where they can get to them. And judging by fan behavior these last couple of years, Thanksgiving and Christmas check that box.
The Bills have an ultra-talented quarterback in Josh Allen. They have last year's leading rusher in James Cook, also a new head coach. But guess what? A new stadium, the inaugural season in Highmark Stadium. Fans are really eager to see about when that home opener is. You guys slate it for week 2 on Thursday Night Football against the Lions. Why was Thursday night and the Detroit Lions the perfect 2 matchups for this home opener game?
Yeah, the truth is you could have done just about anything with the Bills stadium opener. It was going to be a story. The Bills, whomever they were playing in whatever window in weeks 1 and 2 are going to be a story. So we absolutely looked at it for Sunday night of week 1, for Monday night of week 1. Where the momentum really started to pick up for Thursday of week 2, honestly, kind of started with our friends at Amazon. Certainly your old QB Fitzpatrick, I'm pretty sure, made a phone call to the Pagula family offices and reminded them what they could bring to the family, bring to the party, just in terms of an all-day affair. You've seen what happens when Amazon comes into your building and comes into your town, really, and it's an all-day party. It's an all-day celebration, and it would have been great on Monday night. It would have been great on Sunday night. It would have been great week 1, but obviously there's a lot of good stories in week 1, so kind of felt like saving it to week 2 and using it to kind of kick off, kind of bookend a week 2 after everybody kind of catches their breath after a week 1 that we've all been waiting for 4 months. Having that, key storyline to start week 2, knowing our friends at Amazon are really going to rally behind it and make it into a fantastic scene out there on that Thursday, and kicks off a really strong schedule for our friends at Amazon.
Dovetailing off of that matchup with the Lions in week 2 in primetime, I noticed, and this is probably a byproduct of just who the Bills are playing this year, but their other divisions that they face in their entirety are the NFC North and the AFC West, two really strong divisions from top to bottom. I couldn't help but notice the entire NFC North schedule for the Bills, all those games, all four of them are in prime time. My question to you, Mike, is that a deliberate thing or just kind of how it turned out, knowing that division is strong top to bottom?
Yeah, the matchups really, I don't want to say they're ranked 1 through 272, but they're certainly tiered. And when you look at a, schedule for a team like the Buffalo Bills, we're heading for 5, 6, 7 primetime games, 8, 9, 10 national television windows. So you kind of look to the, top tier, maybe into the second tier, but I'm not sure there is one with the Bills schedule. So, like you said, all of the games from the NFC North, all the games from the AFC West. I mean, it's remarkable when you think about, coming out of the AFC West, playoff teams coming out of the NFC North, and that doesn't include Kansas City and Detroit. So, there's so many good games on the Bills schedule. Any one of them could have checked a lot of boxes for us in a lot of different television windows. Totally fluky that they all ended up in national windows as far as their NFC North opponents, but no hesitation whatsoever. Fans are eager to see those four games. I don't think we're doing our jobs if all those games land at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon and only available in 20 or 25% of the country.
The Bills have a couple of tough stretches. Weeks 1 through 5 look really tough to start the season, as well as later in the season, weeks 12 through 16, going to be a gauntlet as well. As you think about Buffalo's schedule and really the NFL schedule at large for the 2026 season, what was the toughest part about putting it all together this year?
Every year is a unique challenge. I wouldn't necessarily say this one was tougher than any of the others. I would say this one was unique. You got a handful of things there that we've never dealt with before. Things like, the record number of international games. Anytime you're playing 9 games outside of the States, there's a whole bunch of considerations in terms of where the teams who are playing in those games the week before, where are they the week after, when is their bye going to fall, should it be right after their international trip, should it be later in the season, how late is too late, how early is too early. We're playing on a Wednesday night for the first time ever on Thanksgiving Eve. It's stuff that we haven't really encountered before. So each one brings a unique challenge, and you kind of survive in advance, if that's the right way to say it. You figure out what you want to do. You check the box. You make sure the boss, Hans Schroeder, who runs our media team, and obviously the boss, capital T, capital B, Commissioner Goodell, all of this crosses his desk. He sees every one of these schedules, and he makes sure we're focused on the right things. Strategic partnerships, strategic investments, growing the game, best games and best windows, which teams warrant the most exposure, which teams might be on the come up, and you wouldn't expect necessarily to see them 3 or 4 primetime games, but we're going to lean in and we're going to think a quarterback playing in year 2, there tends to be that jump in this league when they get out of their rookie year and they start playing year 2. It slows down for them a little bit. So I wouldn't say this year was any harder than any others, but it was unique in its own way and always brings challenges. And the goal is always the same, making sure that the games that the fans most want to see are in windows where they can see them or on platforms that they have access to. It's out now. We'll cross our fingers. We'll hope for good health and playoff implications for every game down the stretch. I'm hoping every team's 8-8 heading into week 18. That's my dream.
8-8 heading into the final stretch of the season. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun to watch the Bills with the schedule they've been given for the 2026 season. Mike, thank you so much for the time. We know it's been a lot of hard work. We hope you can step back and enjoy all of your work and enjoy the world finding out the schedule, as well as the amazing videos that are going to be released by every single team.
Yep, that's the best part. Thanks for having me on. Good talking to you.
Amazing to hear what Mike North had to say about the schedule. It was funny, before we actually started taping the interview, he said, okay, what do you guys think? And we said 2 holiday games, and his response was just like, yep,
Yep, that's what you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get, Bills. We know a lot of people want to watch this team, and so the holiday games, they make sense. When you look at the schedule as a whole, the Bills are playing against some really talented teams, playoff teams from last year. There's some sneaky tough games on this schedule as well. If you had to label one sneaky tough game, what is it for you?
For me, it's probably at Minnesota. It's a Monday night game. That crowd's going to be charged up. You're indoors in a dome. It's a beautiful stadium, but it gets loud in there. And so I think it's going to be imperative for the Bills to get off to a fast start there, because once that Minnesota crowd gets into it, it's hard to turn that noise off, and it is oppressive in that building. And let's not forget, you're talking about the number 3 defense in the league last year.
Yeah.
I know they don't have Jonathan Grenard anymore. They traded him away, one of their better pass rushers, but that is a high-quality defense. And I think by week 9, Kyler Murray, Jawan Jennings, some of their new additions will have assimilated into that offense by that period of time. So I think that's a sneaky tough game that maybe a lot of Bills Mafia is saying, oh, that's a W, no problem. I think a little bit tougher because of venue, atmosphere in Monday night, and talent being assimilated into what they're doing.
And you might be coming off of a really hard game in the week prior against the Baltimore Ravens, which is a 1 p.m. game, but you also have Justin Jefferson that you have to deal with, and you have Jordan Addison. These are 3 great receivers, including Jawan Jennings, that are now a part of the Vikings, and you figure at that point, Kyler Murray's probably going to have it figured out.
Yeah, and you're going to be chasing them all over the field.
That is true, but good thing you have Lamar Jackson the week
before,
prior,
good prep.
because you can prep. While the Vikings game is slated for week 9, so later in the season, not the front half. If you look at the front half, there's quite a few road games in the front half of the season for Buffalo. And what I mean about quite a few road games, I guess I really mean air miles. You're going to travel a lot in the first 6 weeks of the season.
3 of their 6 longest road trips, or 3 of their 4 longest road trips are in the first 6 games, I should say, at Houston, at the Rams, at Vegas. I mean, you're going to the Central Time Zone to usually a long trip air miles wise, and then I don't have to say anything about the LA Rams in Las Vegas. Those are long trips. I think it's actually good to get a majority of them out of the way early in the season, because later in the season, when the bodies need more time to recover, you don't want to spend that time on airplanes where you're swelling up and doing all that stuff. So while they are long trips early, it's probably better to get them out of the way early.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, schedule makers, for doing that. If I had to think about a sneaky, tough game, I'm looking right at Week 18, where it would make sense to have a game against the Patriots in Week 18, but the Bills are going to see the Jets in Week 18, an AFC East matchup. While the Jets are a rebuilding team, they have a new quarterback in Geno Smith. The AFC East could come down to Week 18. We know how tough it was last season. You pick a game here, you pick a game there that the Bills should have won. That first Patriots matchup, that would have gone in Buffalo's favor. Maybe things go differently for the Bills. So regardless of what type of AFC East opponent the Bills are going to face in Week 18, I think the AFC East title could come down to that game. So I think it could be a must-win game for Buffalo.
Yeah, because we know each of the last 6 years, the Bills have had one set of back-to-back losses, and it's been instrumental in determining their playoff seeding in the AFC, and likely has cost them the number 1 seed, because they've always finished behind some other team as a 2 or a 3.
We know the Patriots East last year, and every single win, every single game in this division matters. And so, yeah, Week 18, I think it could be a big one for the Bills. That's going to do it for us for the 2026 schedule release show. It's going to be an amazing year for Buffalo. Really excited to see what they do with Joe Brady and a lot of these new pieces. A lot to look forward to. And the new stadium. Oh my gosh, it's here. We've seen it go up over the last few years, and we get to enjoy games in it this season, Chris.
It's going to be special, and just the fact that you have a home Thanksgiving game, I just think it's kind of an extra added dose of a celebration for the new stadium.
Yeah, a lot to celebrate this season for the Bills. We want to thank you for tuning into our show, and we want to make sure that you know that single game tickets are available right now, so you can head to Ticketmaster to buy those tickets, because they're going to go quickly. For Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. We will see you Week 2 home opener on Thursday Night Football against the Lions.